Hello there, I'm Adi, and today I want to talk about software development deadlines. The big question is, are deadlines in software development a joke? Well, kind of. If you have taken part in at least one software development project for your business, and you should have since there are a lot of benefits if you get it right, you probably know this already. Today, I'm going to tell you the main reasons why 3 out of 5 software projects are late. And to further put things into perspective, only 36% of projects are deemed successful. And this means on time, on budget, and on scope. 90% of projects fail, and 45% are challenged in a significant way during development. What I'm going to show you now will help you understand where your money is going, how to help your technology partner in this journey so that you get the most value out of every resource, and hopefully will make the whole experience less frustrating both for you and your developers. Now, let me tell you a story from John's point of view. John has a service-based business in a competitive industry. He has done well for himself and grew his business to a small-sized company. He now manages 20 employees and has hit a plateau. He knows that all his competitors that have scaled over this point use development or technology agencies to automate processes, increase efficiency, and differentiate from the smaller players in the game. So, off he goes and he starts talking to a technology agency about his business. His main goals are to get rid of redundant tasks, automate repetitive work, and provide predictable results to his clients regardless of his participation in the final delivery or not. He asks the agency for a quote and finds out he needs to document his project requirements first. He goes back to his office and starts mapping out his business processes as well as detailing how his employees and clients will use the software. He then sends out the document to the agency and waits for their quote. The agency finally delivers their proposal and the estimated timeline is 4 months. This should fit exactly into John's needs. Since John feels like his part is done now, he delegates one of his trusted employees, Mary, to manage the communication between John's co and the tech agency. In their first planning session with the agency, Mary brings in 2 other department managers that will oversee their employees' use of the software. The agency finds out that the real process the employees use is a bit more different and complicated than the process John imagined. They also find out that each department's goals are a bit different than what John envisioned and that they should adapt their software specifications accordingly. So, John gets a call from the agency explaining the change of plans, and they ask John to raise the project's budget and timeline to 5 months in order to implement the change requests. John reluctantly agrees, but isn't satisfied with paying more than what was agreed just 1 week prior. We fast forward 4 months into the future, and Mary has handled most of the agency's requests like a pro. The only delay, worth 3 weeks, was due to one of her assistants that was responsible for content delivery. The agency is finally ready to demo the final iteration of the project. They schedule a meeting with John and the other stakeholders. The meeting soon turns into a disaster. John only sees about 40% of the initial requirements being implemented. He sees a whole new process that is completely different than the one he worked so hard to map out. And to top it off, he has already scheduled a press release in 1 month with a big media company in order to announce their new proprietary software. After Mary and the department managers tell John their thought process in implementing the new workflow, they start working along with John at the final iteration. They change some things around and they also want to implement a new client interface. The agency tells John that the change requests will take roughly 3 to 4 more months and asks for a budget raise. John is shocked by the news because he feels that the project scope hasn't changed and that the current version doesn't meet the initial requirements. He fires the agency, refusing to pay the additional costs, and abandons his project, cancels his press release, and starts looking for another agency to develop his new dream software. But he vows to never trust another technology agency again. So, what went wrong? There are 6 mistakes that happened during the development of John's company's software. Did you get any of them? Here they are, along with a couple of solutions for each of them. Mistake number 1: inaccurate requirements. This one happened back when John went and did all of his project specs alone. Here, he could have used a bit of guidance from his agency on how to write his initial brief. To avoid this mistake, involve all stakeholders, business partners, IT representatives, and even end users during the requirement phase of a project. Requirements change, and that's normal, but you should do your best in the planning phase to identify 90% of the potential changes in order to comfortably fit in the 10% into the budget and expected timeline. Mistake number 2. Uninvolved project sponsors. John felt that his job was done and delegated some of his trusted employees to oversee the project and handle the agency's request. To avoid this mistake, make sure you, as a business owner and the project sponsor, participate in the development process. We know that you're busy and we know that delegation is important, but you are the final decision maker and, ultimately, you deem the project a success or a failure. This doesn't mean you should be present in all the meetings with your tech partner. An ideal scenario would be 15-minute stand-ups a day and a 1-hour retrospective at the end of each week. If you can't commit to daily catch-ups, that's okay. The 1-hour retrospective should be more than enough in most cases. Mistake number 3. Shifting project objectives. This happened along the whole development timeline and even during the final delivery meeting where John decided he also wants a new client interface. In order to minimize this risk, start reducing the time frame of plans. After you map out your entire software goals and concept, start planning for shorter deliverables. If the tech partners adopt a Scrum methodology, then go ahead and do just that. Plan 1 or 2 week sprints, check the status of the deliverables at the end of each sprint, and replan the next ones if priorities have changed. Although a waterfall approach might feel better for you because it needs less commitment from you or your employees, remember that waterfall is supposed to mean fixed time, fixed scope, and variable budget. Agile, on the other hand, the cooler younger brother of waterfall, advocates for fixed time, fixed budget, and variable scope. In the fast-moving world of today's business, you can see how that is more valuable. Mistake number 4, inaccurate estimations. How did we go from 4 months to 5 months and then to a total of 8 to 9 months of total development time? There are 2 big reasons why estimations might be inaccurate. The first one is that the development team doesn't have the necessary experience in developing that kind of a product and they just assume everything will go smoothly, thus underestimating time and costs. The second one is that the project manager, either your own or your agency's, rely only on the upfront estimation. They ask for quotes too early and never bother to readjust them when requirements become more clearer. The solution for those depends on the core issue. If the issues are poor estimates, then add some buffer to the initial timeline. The cone of uncertainty is a common term in Agile methodology. It tries to set more realistic timeline expectations based on the current phase of the project. For example, if you've just written the specifications and you got your first quote, multiply it by 4. This means if your project is estimated at 1 month, expect 1 to 4 months until the final delivery. I will link to this great resource below the video. If the issues arise from taking upfront estimations at 100% face value, you can solve this by asking for re-estimations frequently in the project's timeline. Mistake number 5, unexpected risks. So, you can handle what you know, you can estimate what you know you don't know, but you have absolutely no idea what you don't know. The cone of uncertainty comes in handy in this step as well, since those big buffers at the inception of the project are what keeps you grounded when things don't go to plan. Nobody wants to have a late project or a project that never seems to end. If your agency is giving you a bigger timeline than expected, citing the cone of uncertainty, please don't bully them into a shorter deadline. Mistake number 6, dependency delays. In the software development world, everything is connected. Truth is, in the business world, everything is. You might have your own developer helping your tech partner, you might have an UI and UX agency helping with the design, or you might wait on finishing the paperwork required to implement a third-party solution. If one of those dependencies is late, it will cause a chain reaction of delays. The solution for this is to make a list of all the possible dependencies that might arise during development and have your employees and partners working on those as soon as possible. You should treat every dependency as a mini project, have deadlines and buffers for each of them, and track them like your money depends on it, because it really does. Now that you have some insight about why 3 out of 5 software projects are late, you also have the necessary tools to prevent such delays, and you are no longer dependent on anyone for your project success. Hopefully, this will save you a lot of time, money, and grief along the way. If you feel like you need help with any of your software challenges, feel free to book in a free strategy call with me. We'll go in depth on what's holding you back in using software at its maximum potential, and also come up with a strategy about the next steps you should take. I also attached some useful resources below the video, and please feel free to comment with what topics I should tackle in the next videos. Thank you for watching, much love. What I'm gonna show you now will help you understand where your money is going, how to help your technology partner in this journey so you get the most out. He asked the agency for a quote. He asked me to ask.
Yes.
The agency has to adapt the software specifications accordingly. The agency finds out the cone of uncertainty comes in handy in this step as well, since as you probably know already, John... As you probably... 3, 2, 1... Te încurci ca prostul, că era ok. Hopefully you'll get a lot of value out of de ce faci freestyle dacă nu mai știi.
Zi-mă cât să scriu aici.
Bag acolo. Dame no! Dame! Te uita la mine și m-ai ignorat, Bobo.
Bongo, cha cha cha.